أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة والكافرون هم الظالمون. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم. الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور والذين كفروا أولياؤهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. ألم تر إلى الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه أن آتاه الله الملك إذ قال إبراهيم ربي الذي يحيي ويميت قال أنا أحيي وأميت قال إبراهيم فإن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأت بها من المغرب فبهت الذي كفر والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. أو كالذي مر على قرية وهي خاوية على عروشها قال أنى يحيي هذه الله بعد موتها فأماته الله 100 عام ثم بعثه قال كم لبثت قال لبثت يوما أو بعض يوم قال بل لبثت 100 عام فانظر إلى طعامك وشرابك لم يتسنه وانظر إلى حمارك ولنجعلك آية للناس وانظر إلى العظام كيف ننشزها ثم نكسوها لحما فلما تبين له قال أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير. وإذ قال إبراهيم رب أرني كيف تحيي الموتى قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي قال فخذ 4 من الطير فصرهن إليك ثم اجعل على كل جبل منهن جزءا ثم ادعهن يأتينك سعيا واعلم أن الله عزيز حكيم. صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khairan, Zakaria, for the lovely recitation. Brothers and sisters, he has taken time out of his night for us, so please do thank him in the chat box. He was literally he was leading Taraweeh for his family, and he had 4 rak'ahs left, and he just paused and he came on for us, so give him some thanks, inshallah. Everybody. Okay, brilliant. And inshallah, if you ever can, in one of the next few days, do come again to recite for us. That would be lovely as well. Okay, let's make a start. Starting off then, brothers and sisters, with ayahs 254 onward. Okay. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة والكافرون هم الظالمون. Okay. Brothers and sisters, we all know that the day of judgment is coming. We all know it's on its way. But what do we really know about that day? How often do you think about that day? What it's going to be like? You know, when you read the last few surahs in the Quran, Juz Amma, Para 30, the 30th chapter, you see lots of mention of what the day is like. And this is another one of those mentions. The day when you won't even be looking for your mom. The day when the mother will abandon her child. A father will not look for his daughter. A brother and sister will not be even looking at each other. People will be naked and they will not look at each other. People will be running from each other. Their friends gone on that day. My brothers and sisters, that day is something that we can barely fathom. And honestly, it's all going to be nafsi. It's all going to be myself. How am I going to take care of myself? Where am I going to go? What is going to happen to me? You're not even going to care about your family on that day. Think about that. Just think about that. Try to conceptualize that for a second. Your mom, your dad, who you love so much, 2 bits, yani 2 bits. They love you 2 bits. They won't even look at you on that day. This is the day Allah talks about here. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu anfiqu mimma razaqnakum. Allah is telling you, whilst you're still in this life, whilst you're still in this dunya, spend from what we've given you. You see, this ayah is revealed in a time when the Prophet ﷺ was spreading the message of Islam whilst he was still alive. You know, we read it. This is, I know we only have a few days left, so please take on these messages to really take them on board. When we read Quran, we're reading in the 21st century, not 7th century. We're reading it post hoc. We're reading it as a time machine, looking way back. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was speaking, because it's spoken, this Quran is spoken, you see in writing now, but it was dictated. When the Prophet ﷺ is speaking these ayahs, he's speaking to a people who have real life context at that time. It's a book for eternity, for you and me, of course, but in that time, what was the message and to whom? The Prophet ﷺ had new Muslims on board. Oh my God. Need to drop that. He had new Muslims on board. He had all Muslims on board. But at the end of the day, was there loyalty to him or not? Allah can test that in 2 ways. Firstly, through your readiness for battle, okay? If the Muslim lands are being attacked, are you ready to go into war or not? This is one way to test your loyalty to the Prophet ﷺ. Another way is through finances. We're a fresh state, we're a new growing religion. We're going to need financial, monetary input. Allah is saying here, so there's constant tests, yes? And Allah is saying from these constant tests, one of them is going to be you providing financially for the Prophet ﷺ and his growing and spreading message. So spend, but what do you spend from? The money you've acquired your whole life. Allah says, no. This money is the money that we have provided you. Allah has provided you. It's not yours. It's Allah's money that He's given you. He's saying to you, it's not yours. In fact, it's His that for back, albeit briefly. Think about that for a second. We think our money is ours. When we realize, when we become cognizant of the fact that the money was never really ours to begin with, parting from it becomes a whole world easier because it was never yours to start off with. Allah saying, look, I've given you this money. Your whole life, everything has come through the mercy of Allah. Give a little bit now in the path of Islam. You'll get your money back. But most importantly is the mentality. that it was never mine to begin with. And wallahi, once we can internalize this mentality, my brothers and my sisters, everything becomes so much more sensical. Things just make so much more sense, my brothers and my sisters. It was never ours to begin with, so parting with it becomes a whole different story. It becomes easier. Anyway, Allah says here, من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة. Spend your money in the path of Allah before a day comes, i.e. the day of judgment, when you don't have a chance to spend again. Think about your passing away. Think about how it's going to be once you're gone and buried, my brothers and my sisters. Now tell me, with that born in mind, if Allah was to have granted you just 5 minutes in the dunya again after you are long gone and buried, what would you do with your time? What would you do with your money? Would you be going to play bowling? Would you go to the ice rink? Would you spend £25 in True Burger? No. I bet you, my wife says, arguably, but she likes True Burger. But the point is, my brothers and my sisters, even if you were given a tiny portion of time, again, wallahi, every single one of us knows we would do nothing but break down in sajda to our Allah, give everything we have in the path of Allah, because then we've realized the temporality of life, the temporariness of this dunya. Whilst we're in it, we're shrouded, we're completely engulfed and we forget. And the money becomes something that blinds us. It's only those people who have come close to death, who have realized the truth of death, who understand the nothingness of money. It is the greatest, and you might not agree with me here, that's fine, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I genuinely believe it is the greatest tribulation in existence. It's the greatest thing that blinds us in existence, and it is the greatest trial we'll ever face. Most people are kind to their family. Most people, when they come to Islam, they'll start praying. And, that's between them and Allah. But when it comes to money, we're all in love. There's no other better way to put it. Allah saying, with that born in mind, I know you are in love with money. I know this is your test. With that born in mind, spend a little bit from what I've given you. From this money that I've given you, before a day comes, la bay'un fihi, you cannot buy and sell anymore. What do you use your money for? You use your money, A, for buying and selling, yes? You buy commodities, you sell commodities. You buy ingredients, you sell ingredients. The first thing that we'll do with our money is to buy things for our businesses and sell them. The second thing, what do we do with our money? وَلَا خُلَّةُ وَلَا شَفَاعَةٌ. Allah saying, now a day will come when there won't be any friendship on that day, and there won't be any shafa'ah on that day. My brothers and my sisters, what is khulla? Is friendship. What's another thing that we do with our money? We spend it on our friends. Yes or no? You might say to yourself, I'm not someone who likes to spend on myself. And you know what? I'd bet, betting's haram, but I'd bet good money that you're probably 100% honest. There are many Muslims out there, my brothers and my sisters, who don't actually spend much on themselves, and you very much might be one of them. But I guess you do, and in my estimation, you do like to spend on your family and friends. Those personality traits, they still swing one way. You might not spend a lot on yourself, but you love to spend on others, which is great, by the way. But Allah is saying, on that day, not even your friends will be able to help you then. The ones who used to buy you things, treat you, sometimes you used to treat them. Your friends will be gone on that day. Gone, like they won't even look at you. And on that day, there won't even be any shafa'ah. What's another thing we do with our money? Partake in the workplace, yes? You try to go up the corporate ladder. The rat race engulfs us all. What is shafa'ah though? Intercession, okay, complicated word. Let's break it down to simple layman's terms. A layperson's terms, what is shafa'ah? Shafa'ah is quite literally when you're in a pickle, when you're in a tough situation and your brother comes and saves you. When your father comes and has your back and you are like the police were going to arrest you and your father comes and somehow he wiggles you out of it. Your brother comes when you're about to get into a fight and he has your back. When you have messed up in the workplace, but your uncle happens to be a manager and comes and says, he's with me. This is shafa'ah, this is intercession, and we've all had it in some way, shape, or form in life. And alhamdulillah for the little intercessions we've had from family members and friends who have helped us in a tough time. But Allah says on that day, no one's going to have your back. Wallahi, no one's going to have your back on that day, my brothers and my sisters. You love your friends and you love your family, and they do anything for you and you do anything for them. I have no doubt about it. But on that day, you're not going to want to. And they are definitely not going to do it for you. No matter how much love you have for each other in this dunya, on that day, you're only going to think about what negativity they did upon you and you did upon them. How many times have we taken people away from spending good quality time in the path of Allah, and we've wasted their time diverting them somewhere else? How many times were we about to do some sort of worship to Allah, but because of the group we were in at that time, we ended up doing something else? Wallahi, on that day, you're going to think of nothing except how people took you away from the path of Allah, and they were your friends and family in this dunya. Yes, you love them, but on that day, you won't talk to any of them. They won't talk to you. They won't even look at you. Forget talk to you. Allah is saying, spend a little bit from what I've given you before that day comes. And it's going to come. People will be trying to sell people out on Judgment Day. Understand this, my brothers and my sisters. On Judgment Day, what will happen? People will be trying to sell others out. This comes in the Quran. In Surah Al-Imran, it says, even if you try to sell the weight of the world in gold, on that day, Allah wouldn't accept it. Your time's up. You couldn't spend £5 in the path of Allah while you were alive. You couldn't spend 2.5% in the path of Allah whilst you were in this dunya. On that day, you can't spend anything. And on that day, you're going to wish you could come back for 5 minutes to give everything, I promise you. And on that day, you can't. That's the day there's no turning back. Allah is saying, understand, realize before that day comes. It's no use realizing when you're white-haired and old. It's about remembering whilst we're young, my brothers and my sisters, and realizing, look, the signs are here, the ayat are here. Allah has given us the message now. I tell you this again and again. I'm not going to be able to tell you this after 2 more days. It's over. But this ayah came for you. It came for you now, in this moment in life that you're hearing it. It didn't come for the other person who's listening, and it didn't come for the other person who's watching on the other side of the world. It quite literally came for you. And if that isn't enough of a sign, what more can we ask of our Allah? Ayah 254, my brothers and my sisters. Take it personally. We're going to move on to Ayatul Kursi. Okay, I would have liked to talk about this, but I don't want to overload, I suppose. Should I talk about it anyway? Okay, I'll overload because no one's saying no. What does wal kafiruna humul zalimun mean? Because I find it so beautiful and I do want to mention it, even if it means going over a minute or two. And the ones who, what does kafir actually mean? It means to cover the truth, yes, from kafara, to cover the truth, but it can also mean someone who's ungrateful, and therefore you cover up the truth. We've talked about these two kind of connected meanings before, yes. Someone who is ungrateful is someone who is a zalim. From the word zalim, we have zalimun, yes. A zalim is an oppressor, but that's just the surface meaning of it. What is an oppressor? An oppressor in Arabic is dhulm. Oppression in Arabic actually means to put something where it doesn't belong. To put something where it does not belong is what the meaning of oppression is in Arabic. With that being said, when you deny Allah the gratitude that you should be giving him, you are not putting in place that which should actually be put in place. You are putting it elsewhere. For example, someone who worships an idol, they should be giving gratitude to Allah, but they're putting it in the place of an idol. They're giving the gratitude to an idol. When we are not grateful for what Allah has given us, we are not giving Allah what is due for him. And that, when we actually realize it, is a massive thing. And it is oppression. It is the very definition of dhulm, to put something where it does not belong. Okay, and I'm going to inshallah move now on to 255. It's good if you remember the word dhulm for the rest of your life because it comes many times in the Quran, and when you understand this deeper layered meaning, all these ayat make a lot more sense. Okay, let's talk about Ayat al-Kursi then. The ayah of the throne, the sign of the throne. What does ayah mean? Ayah means sign. What does kursi mean? Throne. However, with that being said, does anyone know what another meaning of kursi is? Well, I should say, put it in the chat box, please. You cannot raise your hand. Kursi, some people translate it as throne. There's another translation which potentially is more linguistically correct. Does anyone know? I'll look at the chat box now. Chat box. Footstool. Thank you. Chair. Chair, yes, but in the Quran, the scholars mention that it can mean footstool. So a smaller entity, it can mean footstool. Kursi is even larger, okay? But footstool is even smaller with this borne in mind. But we'll run with it as throne for now, but I just want you to understand that when kursi can come in the Quran, it can also mean footstool. But anyway, that's a more linguistic point. Let's start with Ayat al-Kursi now. Let's start with Ayat al-Kursi, and then we'll understand. Taking the meaning of the throne for now. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. I'm going to annotate. So I want to show everybody that Ayat al-Kursi is split into 9 parts, yes? Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. Part 1. Ends at Qayyum. Al-Hayy is one name of Allah. Al-Qayyum is another name of Allah. The ever-living, the ever-watchful. Hayy, to live. Al-Qayyum, to forever watch. La ta'khudhuhu sinatu wa la nawm. Never is he taken over by even the slightest bit of sleep, nor a lot of sleep, nor complete sleep. No, this is part 2. Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. This is part 3. For him is what is in the skies and what is in the earth. So it's made up of 9 constructions, 9 sentences, I guess you could say. This is part 3, sentence 3. Man dha alladhi yashfa'u 'indahu illa bi'idhnih. It's part 4. Okay, so who can intercede? Yashfa', remember we talked about shifa'a, intercession. Who can intercede except with his permission? يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم is part 5. He knows what is behind him and what? Sorry, he knows what is before and what is behind them. وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. Where is it? It's okay, it's going away from me. If you lot could see what's happening in my house. Subhanallah. A spider is causing so much havoc. I can't, it's okay. Anyway, وَلَا يُحِيطُ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ is part 6. وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ part 7. وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. Sorry, وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا part 8. وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ part 9. Okay. So everything I've put, for each sentence, I put it above, except for 7, 8, and 9, I put it just below. But if you wish, I'll just put it above as well. Okay, now everyone should be able to see the 9 sentences. Let's talk about them. This is beautiful. This is probably, this is really one of the things that got me into Quranic Tafsir, this ayah. Okay, and I love to recite it in every time I'm made to be Imam, this somehow comes up, because once you understand this ayah, my brothers and my sisters, you're not going to want to read anything else. It's just so, so beautiful indeed. But let's talk about it. So beautiful. Let's talk about it. Okay. Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum. Allah, there is no one worthy of worship. You know, this translation is great, but there's even more that we can add. So understand the further depth, okay? Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum. An ilah an ilah isn't just God, okay? That's a shallow or superficial translation, I suppose you could say, even though like how deep can you really get on something that you need to write a full translation of a full Quran for? But we're just going to understand something for our own benefit, that this is even deeper than just God. It means that thing which you worship. Therefore, even if you are an atheist, even if you don't claim religion, even if you don't claim to worship something, we believe everyone worships something. Even an atheist worships something, but how we, or she, the atheist says, not worship anything. We believe worship is deeper than just bowing down to an idol, okay? Or bowing down to XYZ. Worship is that which you give your time to, that which your life is spent towards, that which your days go towards. That is what you worship. What is always on your mind is what you worship. And just like the ayahs before, if we are obsessed, and quite literally obsessed with money, what are you doing except for worshipping money? Your whole day goes to money. You don't look at your family, you don't talk to your friends, you're just thinking about money all the time. Even this is a form of worship. That which you're obsessed with, your mind is always going to that, that's what you worship. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. Allah, who is Allah? La ilaha, there is no one, nothing worthy of worship except the ever-living, al-hayy, al-qayyum, the ever-watchful. Now, these are two names of Allah, yes? And this is number one. Look at number 9 for me now. Flip it round. What do we see number 9? وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. He's the Ali, the Most High. From the word ala and ulya, we have Ali, the Most High, and Azim, the Most Tremendous. We have two names of Allah in number 1, two names of Allah in number 9. Okay? This is called tricolon parallelism. I'm just going to put the linguistic terms to the side for a second. This is a beautiful reflection. It's like a reflection, okay? It's like a parallelism, okay? 1 and 9, okay? Let's keep it simple. Something we can remember in our own prayers, something that will affect our own hearts. Forget the linguistic terms, forget them. Allah repeats two beautiful names in number 1 and number 9, okay? لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. He is not overtaken by sinner nor nawm. Now, it doesn't, the English translation doesn't do justice here. Slumber and sleep, okay, sure. What is sinner? Sinner is such that you're half sleeping. Like you're drowsy. Okay, like imagine, I don't know, you've been watching, I don't know, you know, those silly YouTubers who, for whatever reason, they want to do a 50-hour challenge of trying to stay awake and, you know, doing XYZ thing whilst staying awake for 50 hours, but they're always so close to falling asleep. This is sinner. They're half sleeping. Okay, you're a guard. You're watching a CCTV. As a guard, you're watching the CCTV and you're always half asleep. This is sinner. Wala nawm. And nawm is like you're knocked out. And you know, in the comics and the cartoons, when you see the Z with the cloud, that is fully knocked out slumber. That's now. Allah says He's not taken by the slightest bit of half sleep. No. Neither of these two. Like levels of sleep, none of the levels of sleep does Allah get overtaken by when He's standing watch over the whole dunya, the whole heaven, every world. What do we say He is, by the way? Rabbul Alameen, yes or no? Yes or no? Is He Rabbul Alameen, yes or no? What does Rabbul Alameen mean? Rabb, the Lord, the thing which the entity which nurtured you and is the nurturer of all the worlds. And I was telling my nephew this just earlier today. The world of the insects. How many billions of insects are there? Trillions of insects. Every single second they're doing something else. There was a spider here. I don't know if it counts as an insect. It's an arachnid. I've forgotten my year 7 math, my year 7 science. I know it has a vertebrae. Does it not have I don't know. Invertebrate maybe. The point is, think about all the trillions of arachnids, and even if that's not an insect, the caterpillars, the mosquitoes, every single insect out there. This is a world in and of itself. The world of the animals. Allah seeing everything that happens every single second with every single animal always. The world of dust, microscopic entities. The world of bacteria, Allah's making everything happen in that world just so your body can stay alive. You have so much bacteria inside of you, good and bad, just so your body can stay alive. Allah is in charge of all of that. He's the Rabb of all of that, every single second, every nanosecond. And the dust that's flying around you, the soil that you're going to go into, every single thing, every single world, whether it's small or whether it's gigantic, the cosmos, the trillions of solar systems. Allah in charge of all of it, all the time, every second. Not a leaf falls that except Allah is aware. Think about that. Try to conceptualize that. How many leaves fall every second? Allah is making each and every single one of them fall. Every single thing, every word that you can utter and imagine, Allah's in charge of that world and everything that happens in it. This is the Allah that isn't overtaken by the slightest bit of half sleeping drowsiness nor complete slumber. Now, my brothers and my sisters, this number 2 says لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. Look at number 8, the second last. ولا يؤوده حفظهما. It does not tire him guarding over both of them. Both of what? The heavens and the earth. There are 2 things mentioned here, and there are 2 things mentioned here. And Allah creates another parallelism that we didn't even realize once I suppose the Prophet ﷺ was just uttering it. This was all spoken. The Prophet ﷺ was just speaking this. It wasn't written. When you create art, when you create artistic work, this is much greater than art, right? But when you create amazing art or an amazing novel or a brilliant poem, how many hours does it take? I'm writing a fiction book for the kids, yes? It's called, show you. Okay, I can't show you because I think I'm on the annotation mode. It's called Eternity Train. Okay, it's a train that never stops. eternitytrain.wordpress.com for those interested. If you want to check it out, eternitytrain.wordpress.co.uk or .com. Okay, it's .com. So just check that for me, please. And just to write one chapter, 3 pages, just to write one chapter, 3 pages, takes 5 hours if you really edit it properly and make sure you're getting 100% correct and good and well done. Yes? With that being said, the Prophet ﷺ was just speaking this. Great art, great work. Takes so long of editing. This was just spoken. Okay, I'll take that off now. I'm not here to publicize my fiction book for kids, but if anyone wants to read the first chapter, there you go. This was just spoken. Now what's next? لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. For him is everything in the skies and everything in the earth. You know, ownership. There's 2 kinds of ownership. If I say I own this glass, this 75p glass from IKEA, yes? It's a small thing. If I say I own this very strangely shaped mouse, it's really good, by the way. It's a small thing, yes? You can own small things. Everything that you own is small. How big can you get? A house, a car? Okay, sure. But generally speaking, you can't own people and dominion in the same manner. What do I mean? Ownership is generally for small things. Understanding that. What is dominion? What is kingdomship? What is to be a ruler? If you're the ruler over a certain land, it's not about what you own anymore, is it? To be a ruler, yes? To be a malik, you are in charge of the people within existing. If you're the king of a place, yes, you're in charge of the people within that place. But you might not own everything in that place. On the flip side, you can own everything in the kingdom, but you're not the king, you're the leader. Do you see the 2 differences? Okay, one's being an owner, one's being a king. Allah says here, for him is everything in the skies and the earth. Like he owns it all, yes? And what does number 7 say, i.e. the 3rd from last? وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. This completes the picture. His throne extends over the skies and the earth. This is the completion of the picture. First one is about ownership, and the second one is him being the king over everything. Think about that. Think about how subtle that is. If you can only break down ownership into 2 types of things, one is actually owning small things, or owning even large things, sure, houses, buildings, whatever. The second actually leading and being in charge, Allah has said both of them in 3 from the first and the 3rd from the last. How beautiful is that? You can be the king of a country, but not own everything. You can own everything, but not be the king of the country. Allah is saying He's both. Number 4. Man dhal ladhi yashfa'u 'indahu illa bi'idhnih. We've talked about intercession, what intercession is. Yes, like the father example, the brother example. Yes. What does Allah say? No one who is going to intercede with Allah except with His permission. This is number 4. I.e., there's no exception, is there? But in Arabic linguistics, there can be one exception to this because the illa is used. And what is the exception? Let's go from 4th to the back. From the end, the 4th, what does it say? وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. Nothing, and I'll show you here as well. But they do not comprehend any of His knowledge except what He wills. Except, and here's the exception, except what He allows. This is the 4th from the back. And this is the exception to number 4, except what is in His leave by His permission. Now, with that being said, what about the middle? What about number 5? We've had parallelism for 4 ayahs from the front and 4 ayahs from the back, almost as though it was planned, yes? And the Prophet ﷺ was just uttering it. And this is far beyond anything I've read in all of my languages and all of the linguistics I've studied for the last 5 years, yes? My master's is in linguistics, by the way, and I'm telling you, this is like, non-Muslim, like non-Muslim academic linguists, they cannot believe that this ayah, just this ayah, forget the rest of the Quran, this ayah was spoken. Just imagine that for a second. And I haven't gone to the middle of it yet. They cannot believe that this was spoken, not written. Like I said, for me just to write 3 pages of a children's fiction book takes me 5 hours, maybe more. That was 5 hours of just editing because I wanted to make it perfect. This, the Prophet also spoke it on his tongue. He was illiterate. He could not read and write. What is the middle? What's the kernel? What's the apex? يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. Allah knows what is before and what comes afterwards. Look at what came before and look at what has come afterwards. Every single word in Ayatul Kursi, my brothers and my sisters, adds to create the greatest parallelism we have ever seen on the face of the earth, period. The Quran was revealed to the most literate nation, the Arabs, and their poetry was the highest level of linguistic achievement humanity has ever seen. Better than Shakespeare, better than any other amazing literary trope, rhetoric ever in existence. They were the most poetic community in history. And this, my brothers and my sisters, is testament to the miracle that is the linguistics of the Quran. Tricolor parallelism, the type of parallelism, but we're not going to worry about that here. We're just going to use the word symmetry. I think it'd make a lot more sense for the viewers, inshallah. Okay, so I hope that's just touching upon Ayatul Kursi. I'd love for you lot all to research further into it, but because of time, we'll have to move on, inshallah. Okay, let us close the annotation now. And can I just click share again? Okay, and now moving on to 259 and 60 together, and we're done. We're done in a few minutes. I'm just going to talk about the English. Okay, a day or part of a day. This is all I wanted to talk about. Allah, my brothers and my sisters, says in the Quran, this isn't the ayah that says it, but it connects to an ayah later, where we are raised again after we have been taken. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Yes, indeed to Allah we belong and to Allah we will return. When we return to our Allah, and Allah revives us, because He's al-Hayy, the ever-living, He can revive us as well. When He revives us, He will ask us, how long were you alive on this dunya? You know, all these years you've been here, it must feel like a long time now, surely, yes? But at the same time, it feels very quick, does it not? It feels like your whole life's passed in the blink of an eye sometimes, and sometimes when you try to remember it, you can't remember all the memories if you tried. But on that day, when Allah asks you how long you were in this dunya, we would all unanimously agree and say, يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْدَ يَوْمٍ. We were in the dunya for maybe a day, maybe part of a day at most. That's going to be our response. And we would all genuinely believe that. You know, when you wake up from a dream, in the dream it felt so real, didn't it? In the dream, everything made sense. In the dream, time was weird. Like time just carried on going. But when you wake up, you realize there were so many oddities. Oh, that didn't actually add up. My dream was only 7 seconds long. Scientific studies, by the way, showed out that every dream is about 7 seconds long. And it feels like days went by, hours went by in the dream, yes? But no, it's only a matter of seconds. That, my brothers and my sisters, is the closest example I can give you then of you waking up after this life is over and Allah asking you, how long will your life for? Wallahi will feel like a dream. The blink of an eye. That, my brothers and my sisters, if you can internalize that and remember that and repent every night before you dream, you'll be okay. Inshallah. Every night before you go to bed. Look, our time is over. I know it's a sad, emotional moment, but our tafsir class is coming to an end in about 2 days or 3 days at best. I'm telling you now. If you're going to take something from this, take this. Every night before you go to bed, do what the scholars used to do, or do to this day. Ask Allah for forgiveness for everything that you've done that day. Remember what you've done that day that you were not happy about before you start dreaming, before you go to that land of dreams. And remember, when you think about the land of dreams, that very soon we're going to go to that land again one day. Go to bed, put your head down on that cushion and go to sleep, and you will not wake up from that dream until Allah wakes you. Remember that, my brothers and my sisters, and every single night, repent. Every single night, just repent. Do not ever die. Do not ever come to the end of a night in an argument. Never finish a night in an argument. Even if you're wrong, just say sorry, do whatever you have to do. Don't ever end on bad terms. You don't know when your last night is. You don't know when you're going to go to that land of dreams and never come back. My brothers and my sisters, live every day like it's your last. And that's honestly the best advice I can give. And I hope, inshallah, even when this tafsir ends, Surah Baqarah will have taught us that at least. And we'll finish with 260, just touching upon one thing, which is a really quite beautiful story of Nimrud, or King Nimrod in the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam, we spoke about his story a few weeks back. Now he has been looking for Allah after he has essentially been exiled from his father's land, from his hometown. He has been exiled by the pagan peoples, and he looks for signs of Allah. He tries to understand. He understands, he realizes who Allah is, he goes through the story as we know it, but now he comes to a man called King Nimrod, yes? And Nimrud was a man who believed that he was God, very much like Fir'aun did, I suppose you could say. King Nimrod was similar in that regard. And one of his evidences, King Nimrod's evidences, his arguments was the following. Okay, it doesn't say in the ayah, but I'll tell you nonetheless. Nimrod, Ibrahim alayhi salam first says, my Allah, my Lord is the Lord who can give life and cause death. So King Nimrod says, no, I'm the Lord. I'll show you, I can do that too. That's nothing. He brings a man and he kills him. And he says, look, I give death. He brings another servant slave, another man, and he allows him to live. King Nimrod does this and he says, look, I am God. I have allowed him to live. Ibrahim alayhi salam says, no. My Allah is the one who takes life and gives life back. He's al-Haadee. He can give life back. He can return life to you after you have passed away. Nimrod still brings many arguments, many positions that he believes he is God, or he pushes the point that he's God. So then Ibrahim alayhi salam says, my Lord is the one who can make the sun rise from the east and set in the west. If you are Allah, if you are God, make the sun rise in the opposite direction. And hopefully these ayahs will come soon. I do believe they are. Here we go. And it's in ayah 258. Don't know how I passed that without realizing. Look, it is my Lord who gives life and death. And he says, I give life, death too. And if you look at the tafsir, my brothers and my sisters, that's the story we've spoken about. So Ibrahim alayhi salam says, Allah makes the sun rise from the east, so you make it rise from the west. And then, فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي, a word that hardly ever comes in the Quran. Yes? He became completely dumbfounded. He didn't know what to say. And this is the same Nimrod now. Ibrahim alayhi salam now, when he wants more signs from Allah, and this is what we're going to end on. He wants more signs from Allah. He asks Allah, can you please show me, Ya Allah, show me how you give life to the dead. Show me how you give life to the dead. Now, you might say, oh, but he's a prophet, he's Khalilullah, he's the friend of Allah. Why is he asking for more of a sign? This is now a creedal, theological point we need to touch upon. Ibrahim is asking us the angels questioning Allah in ayah 30 or 31 of this surah, roughly. Ayah 30, 31, the angels say to Allah, are you going to bring about a nation, Adam alayhi salam's progeny, yes. Are you going to bring about human beings who are going to cause bloodshed in the earth? This isn't them disobeying Allah. They're just curious. Ibrahim alayhi salam isn't disobeying Allah. He doesn't disbelieve in Allah. It's not disbelief. He just wants لِتَطْمَئِنَّ الْقُلُوبِ لِتَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي here. He just wants a bit of a sign for his heart to be put at rest. He's been through so much. You know, he was just thrown in a fire, right? Like, this man has been through trial and tribulation from trial and tribulation. He just wants a sign from Allah to put his heart at rest, although even if the sign wasn't to come, and here's where the nugget is, here's the point that we need to take home. Even if the sign wasn't to come, he would have been happy to carry on. He just would have liked it on top, just for his own heart and the ease that it would bring. It's okay sometimes, my brothers and my sisters, to ask Allah for more. What isn't okay is to disobey him, and we'll end with this because this is the most salient point. It isn't okay to disobey him with the argument that I haven't seen enough signs. It's a nuanced point, but I hope you understand. Ibrahim alayhi salam isn't disobeying Allah and saying, I need more signs to believe. He's saying, whether more signs come or not, I believe, but another sign would be appreciated. Just something small, just for my own peace of mind. My brothers and my sisters, this is Ibrahim alayhi salam, and it's okay sometimes to ask Allah for more, no problem. So long as you have your mentality correct. And with that, inshallah al-Ali al-Aziz, we will end. Subhanaka rabbana rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. I'm going to just have a look at the questions before we end. And it's 259, talking about the time we were on earth or the time we were dead before being raised. 259, yes. This is the dunya. This is talking about the dunya. Yes, this is talking about the dunya. There was an actual incident that occurs in 259. I didn't think 259 was super, I thought we could, just due to time, we would talk about the other ayahs, but yes, 259 is talking about a story that happens in the dunya, and you'd have to look further into the tafsir for that. Tomorrow, my brothers and my sisters, if there are no more questions, we will be covering ayahs 260 to 281. So a lot tomorrow. Yes. And we will have Maulana Ashraf Ali coming back. Maulana Ashraf Ali, my tajweed teacher, inshallah. Is it tomorrow? Yes, it's tomorrow. It's tonight. Like, as in, it's tomorrow night at this time. In 24 hours, you will have the person you've been asking for, everybody returning. Maulana Ashraf Ali, inshallah. I have seen the question from the sister who's just messaged me now. I will respond to that tomorrow, inshallah, just because of time. Please do come back tomorrow, and we will start off with the question that I'm seeing privately sent to me now. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.